Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ratna Puri Cahyani. First of all, I would like to thank to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala for His mercy, and also to all of you who have been present at this meeting. I'm also grateful for the opportunity that given to me. On this occasion, allow me to describe what I got from the academic paper that I read before about a study on students' English speaking problems in speaking performance, which is a research journal from English Education's department at Tanjung Pura University. So here are some important points that I have summarized and can be studied further. So the first one is the importance of speaking. The second one, communicative competence in English language teaching. The third is problems in speaking performance, which is divided into two main aspects, linguistic problems and psychological problem. And the last aspect is the result. All right, so let's we discuss about the importance of speaking. So speaking skill is an important aspect to acquire when learning a second or foreign language, and the success of learning the language is measured from the performance of learners to speak the language learned. By speaking, we don't mean merely uttering words through mouth. It means conveying the message through the words of mouth. This indicates that speaking fluently or being good in oral communication is a core aspect of human to stay connected to each other. Since the language is an instrument of communication, there is no excuse for a language learner for not being able to speak the language learned. The next is about communicative competence in English language testing. So there are five competence in English language teaching. The first one is discourse competence. So discourse competence concerns the selections, sequencing, and arrangement of words, structures, sentences, and utterance to achieve a unified spoken or written text. The second one is linguistic competence. Linguistic competence is comprises the basic elements of communications, the sentence pattern and types, the constituent structure system needed to realize communications as speech or writing. The third is actional competence. Actional competence is defined as competence in conveying and understanding communicative intent, that is matching actional intent with linguistic from based on the knowledge of an inventory. The fourth is social cultural competence. So sociocultural competence refers to the speaker's knowledge of how to express message appropriately within the overall social cultural context of communications, in accordance with the pragmatic factors related to the variations of language. And the last one is strategic competence. So strategic competence is the knowledge of communication strategies and how to use the language itself. Uh, this competence or the language competence which has been a must for the EFL students to acquire. Discourse, linguistic, actional, sociocultural, and strategic competence are the important chains that links together at the knowledge for the EFL students that brings them to master the language. English as the target language of themselves. By acquiring this communicative competence, the EFL students are expected and demanded to be good in their speaking performance in every life aspect. Communicative competence also plays an important on students' achievement in their speaking performance. since by acquiring those all of five communications competence, the student will play a good speaking performance. So the next is about the problems in speaking performance. Like what I said before, there are two main aspects in speaking performance. The first one is linguistic problems. Linguistic problems are those problems which make student speaking ability become poor. There are some linguistic problems that affect someone in speaking, such as point in grammar, lack of vocabulary, and pronunciations. While psychological problems are those problems which often interfere the emotional and physical health. This problem may become the obstacle for the student to enhance and to improve their speaking ability. All right, so we discuss more about linguistic problems. So the first one is vocabulary. Vocabulary is an individual word or set of words which have specific meaning. The problems of vocabulary occur when someone is lack of vocabulary needed to talk and doesn't know how to combine the vocabulary into a good sentence. Students are clearly know what they are going to say in the search language, but when they have to switch the language itself into a target language, such as English, they often get confused to combine and use the proper vocabulary needed. So the second one is grammar. Grammar is a study in which sentences are structured and formed. If learners don't know the rules of grammar, they will never be able to communicate using English effectively. For example, the learner who has mastered the third singular person marker on the present tense verb is likely to overgeneralize the rules and apply it to newly emerging modal verb, thus producing errors such as she can speak English. And the third is pronunciation. Clear communication is essential in communication. The second or foreign language learners are also demanded to speak English naturally like native speaker. Correct pronunciation is very necessary to develop speaking skill. Once a person can pronounce correctly the endings of the words, for example, he can at the same time give grammatical information. Next is about psychological problems. Right, so for the first aspect in psychological problem is lack of self-confidence. Self-confidence relates to self-assertiveness in one's personal judgment, ability, power, and etc. Sometimes manifested excessively. Lack of self-confidence can be made up of several different aspects such as ghosting, feeling shy, turn inward, unrealistic expectations of perfections, false sense humility, fear or change or making mistakes, depressions, and etc. This lack of self-confidence also become a great problem which affects student speaking performance. It is difficult for the students to master English speaking if they are not confident with their own speaking ability. So the last one is anxiety. Anxiety refers to a transitory emotional state or conditions characterized by feeling of tensions and apprehensions and heightened automatic and nervous system activity. In this case, the students may end up with nothing to say towards their interlocutors or the audiences. They may confirm certain feelings such as nervous, anxiety, worry, shy, feeling afraid, or fear for something worse happen whether they are trying to speak better. Alright, so the last aspects or the last chapters in this research is result. Based on the research finding on students' response in the questionnaire, the most dominant problem faced by the student is psychological problems, with mean percent 70%, which has the higher mean percent than the linguistic problems, 53%. All right, everyone. This is my re-explanations of the academic paper that I read before. Thank you very much for your great attention, and I apologize if there is a lack of words. Hopefully, this can be useful for all of us. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.